Welcome, I'm the Kaiji no Kami, and I'm here at DenverCon 2016 interviewing author C.R. Richards. So, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So, what got you into writing?
Well, it started with my grandma. She's Welsh and English, so she used to tell us stories about little elves in their garden hiding under the leaves. And when I'd go to visit her, she'd fill my shoes with candy and tell me the gnomes did it. So I took that and I tell my little nephews the same kind of stories, and it just really stuck in my head, fantasy. And I always thought I was going to be a children's author, but something happened, I don't know what, and I went dark, to dark fantasy and horror. I don't know what happened.
You can blame the gnomes for it.
That's right. That's right.
Pesky gnomes. Kids, watch out for those gnomes. They will get you.
That's right.
So, why did you choose fantasy and horror in the long run to go your dark way?
You know, it's just the stories that I was given. I love fantasy because you set it in, there's a little bit of reality there, and you can just insert what is possible. Give people an idea. This could happen, it's possible. Horror, I love horror. I put horror into the dark fantasy because there's something about horror that forces you as a writer and a reader to look at the possible in the negative way of fear, hatred, lust, just those really intense emotions, and it forces you to face it in yourself, if that makes sense. So I just am really intrigued about that.
Do you have any other favorite horror books or even horror movies that you like?
Oh, I have to go with my all-time favorite horror book. It's The Stand by Stephen King. Love it. But Jack Ketchum's The Woman is so unbelievably scary. And he's an incredible author, but he's probably one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. But one other gentleman that I read, his name escapes me right now, but it's called The Bird Box. It's about a post-apocalyptic viral, and everybody has to, you're blinded and you can't hear, because if you can, the people that invaded will take over your brain. But it's hard, I'm not explaining it very well, but it is one of the scariest and most intense books I've read.
Sounds interesting and sounds a lot more entertaining than the host.
Yeah.
So, in your dedication, do you research different worlds that your stories take place in?
I do. If it's an urban fantasy, I travel all over. For the previous book before The Lords of Valdion was Pariah, and most of it takes place on the Vegas Strip, so it was fun doing research there. And I did discover a lot of sparkly vampires and things, so, you know, if an elf or an elemental shows up, who's gonna know, right? And I also went to British Columbia, and there's Stanley Park there. That's where the ending takes place. And I'm saying it takes place on an anti-ley line, if you're familiar with the Sealy Court, things like that. But I do base all of my books, I try to base them, especially if I can, for the Lords of Valdion, a lot of it's based here in Colorado, in a post-apocalyptic Colorado, of course. But so I can bring that sense of reality to the book and the settings.
So do you have any favorite place you have visited for your book?
Oh, I tell you what, I am addicted to San Antonio. The architecture, and a lot of, half of Valdion takes place in Colorado, the other half is in the old Spanish architecture of San Antonio. So I think that's my favorite place.
Post-apocalyptic Texas. Isn't it already post-apocalyptic?
Well.
So do you ever put yourself into the shoes of your own characters when you write them?
I do. I try to do that with every character so that I can relate to what they're going through. And I try to draw from my own life experiences and emotional experiences to, again, add depth as much as I can. Sometimes you can't, but I do my best to do that.
Now, how have you how do you feel that you have evolved since you first started?
Oh, I have gotten so much better at the craft and honing my skills, and it's all due to networking with other writers. I try and seek out people that are farther along than I am, and Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers, which is our organization here. There's so many people there that are so much farther along in this process than I am, and they're very generous and willing to mentor. So I've learned so much from them, and then I can turn around and share it with new writers. So it's been really rewarding to do that, to give back to what so many people have given to me and helped me along my path. So.
Now, based on what you've gone through, do you have anything that you'd say to people who would want to get into the field of writing?
Yes, I think the first thing you need to do is join a place like Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. If you don't do fiction, there's a wonderful literary organization here. It's called Denver Lighthouse, and they do nonfiction memoirs. But you really need to network with other people who have to share that interest, because a lot of times you don't know which way you should go. Should you be a short story writer, a journalist, a fiction writer? So talking to other people, sitting in these classes, it gives you a sense of experience, and you get kind of if it's right for you, if it isn't right for you, and if it's not right for you, that's okay too. You're free to go on and focus on something else, but it's a great way to fill out what your dreams are and if they're achievable.
Yeah, so do you have any final words for the viewers of this?
I would say if you're here at Denver Comic Con, come and go to Author Alley and say hello to all the authors there. If you're not, you're really missing out, because it's an awesome time.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, bye.